Followers. Welcome to the first episode of the Rosie Lastra Podcast, sponsored by Jeremy's Unity Flight, LLC. I don't know if there was a lag here, so I'm going to start all over again. Okay, it looks like we're actually live. Okay, fellow Instagram followers and family, welcome to the first episode of the Rosie Lastra Podcast, sponsored by Jeremy's Unity Flight, LLC, where faith, science, and healing come together to give people hope and possibility. Our story reminds us that when grief steps in, the flight is not over. It just takes a new direction. I'm your host, Rosie Lastra, and today we are talking about transformation, the kind that takes the most horrific grief and turns it into something to give inspiration and hope to others. Let me tell you a little bit about my story. My son Jeremy took his final flight on September 15, 2024. 2024. The most agonizing, profound pain I thought I could do this. I have ever endured was the loss of my baby boy, 37 years old. Take a breath. Jeremy, he was a bright young at heart, light, courageous, and wise beyond his years, yet full of playful, childlike spirit. His passing shifted my heart into fragments I truly believe could never be pieced back together again. For almost a year, I drowned myself to the confines of my room. I went from a person who never watched TV to binge watching every show I missed in over a decade. Even started binge watching Spanish novelas. I gained almost 100 pounds. Excuse me. I gained almost 100 pounds. One day I heard Jeremy's voice, clear as day. Mom, this has got to stop. I'm good. I'm happy. This is not you. Get out there and live. You're not alone. I'm here with you. At that moment, I made the decision to make sure Jeremy's light kept burning and Jeremy's Unity Flight was created. But this is not just about my story. It's about yours, because maybe you are walking with the pain in your heart and are wondering if you will ever find your wings again. I want you to know that at Jeremy's Unity Flight, the Rosie Lastra Podcast, healing has a boarding pass and your name is on it. I'm not flying solo on this one. My guest today is the incredible Sonya. Where are you? Is the incredible Sonya Dungee, native New Yorker from Long Island. How do I get you? There you go. Accept. Okay, I got you. Right now, bear with me. Sonya, are you there?
Great evening, great evening.
Okay. Let me just let them know about you, my love.
Okay.
Like I said, I'm not flying solo. I do have this amazing, incredible woman. Her name is Sonya Dungee. She's a native New Yorker from Long Island. Sonya is extremely family oriented, and not only is she family oriented, but she's a faithful servant. Sonya holds several titles. Amongst them is she's the CEO of a company or a business called Always Destined for Greatness. And she is a podcast host of the Sonya Dungee podcast, where conversation is always the essence of the soul. She is an amazing transformational coach, mentor, and advocate, and my friend. Like me, she went through deep, deep loss, and like me, she took that pain into a possible mission. Sonya, first of all, I want to say welcome, and I'm so glad you're here. But Sonya, I also want to know, you walked the road of grief, heartbreaking grief. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. First, if I may, I want to thank you so much for inviting me to be here on this special occasion, your very first episode. And I want to congratulate you and tell you how proud I am of you. I know this is not an easy thing to do. And we'll talk more in depth about that later. But welcome to the Boss Warrior Queens, that you're official now. And let me just proceed by answering your question. Can you ask that question again? Matter of fact, I was holding back some tears here, so it just kind of.
I hear you. Nah, I know that you went through heartbreaking grief, and I want to hear your story. I want to hear a little. I want my listeners to hear a little bit about your story.
Thank you. So, as you've heard, my name is Sonya Dungee, and I hail from Strong Island, New York. Don't bother to check that on the map. As I always say, you'll never find it. Okay, just trust it's a strong island. The reason that I sit before you this evening is because I truly believe that my dad, if you can see in the background here, Mr. John Shedrick Dungee, he left me with a gift that I didn't know he left me with in the beginning. So my story began back on, and it was in the midst of the pandemic. It was on a Saturday. It was January 23rd of 2021, 5 days short, excuse me, of my dad's 83rd birthday, mind you. I was there reluctantly holding his hands. 48 hours before, my dad and I were blindsided, to say the least, and told he had 6 months to live. And I held back the reaction that I really wanted to give because it wasn't ladylike. And I know that my dad wouldn't have wanted that from me either. But I found myself in that time making plans of what I was going to do and ordering a hospital bed for him and moving my furniture out of my bedroom because he was going to come stay with me. I had already spoke to my siblings about it, and that's how it was going to be. He was going to live the best 6 months that I could possibly help him live under the circumstances. And here I find myself, not even 48 hours later, holding my dad's left hand at his bedside, watching this tear come down his cheek, and taking his last breath on this earth and his first breath in heaven. I kicked, I screamed, I hollered, I begged, I pleaded. I did all of those things because I didn't want him to go, and he was gone. And I wasn't prepared. There wasn't an instructional manual for me to know how to act. And as a direct result, I started spiraling out of control immediately. I found myself in a very dark place. I didn't use drugs. I mean, I didn't drink. I've never gotten drunk in my life, thank God. However, I was isolated. I was broken. I lost a lot of weight and didn't realize how fast that I did it. Being that it was a pandemic, it was the first time we were working from home ever in my career. And so I would work from home. I call it job. My job is what pays the bills, and my work is in my calling. So there I was doing my 7.5, 8.5 hour, whatever it was, stint a day, going back out of the shishi room, back across the living room into my bedroom, shutting the door, and just repeating the same cycle day after day. And running to the cemetery at every chance I can get, because I felt maybe I could be the closest with my dad there through the walls of the Calabarium where his ashes remained. And that lasted for 342 days. And it got to a point where enough was enough. At the time, I had 3 children, grandchildren. Now I'm blessed with 4. I wasn't spending any time with them whatsoever. My friends, my family, no one. I was thinking that I was grieving alone. And the reason was because I didn't want my children to grieve any more than they were. My son was very close to my dad. He was like a dad. And so I knew he was grieving in silence and kind of keeping it from me. And my daughter, the youngest, couldn't bear even looking at his vehicle that was parked outside of my house. And so I kept it to myself. So I thought. But when enough became enough and I realized that I could not go it alone and I needed to get some kind of help and that there was more life ahead of me than there was behind me, that day I made a conscious effort and I made that decision right then and there that I was going to invest in myself, pour into myself. I was going to find myself a mentor / coach in a community in which I was blessed and I was able to do that. I made the very last appointment on December 31st that my coach had available. And in that, he promised me that if I did the work, if I was coachable, if I was teachable, if I showed up, he would help me. And I said to myself, I'm going to show him. I'm going to be teachable. I'm going to be coachable. I'm going to do the work. I'm going to show him. But the reality of it was I wasn't showing him. I had to prove it to myself. I had to do it for myself. And I did it. And I never missed a class up until this day. Every class that was my class or a new class for new students that were coming in, I take that class too. And it was only because I didn't want to lose sight. I didn't want to slack off. And as a result, here I am today. I don't share this part often, but I will share it today. I heard my dad, there was just something that said, I left you a gift. Did you get my gift? And I really thought about it and I'm like, money? The car? It was deeper than that. And the gift that my dad left me was, I went through those things for a reason. It's part of my story. And it was for me to share that gift that he left me by sharing with others that are either going in a storm, or that are coming out of a storm, to realize that there's sunshine on the other side, that it's okay not to be okay. It's okay not to be okay, but it's okay to be okay. Because there was times when I would laugh and then catch myself like, did anybody hear me? I don't think I'm supposed to do that. You know, there was times when I wanted to leave the house and it took a long time because I didn't. When my friends wanted me to go out for dinner, I was like, I don't really want to go, or maybe I should go, but if I go, then I'm disrespecting my dad because maybe I should still be grieving. And so after a while, like I said, it took me a long time. It does not happen overnight. But as a direct result, today I am a transformation coach and a proud one. And I get to help those that are stuck and broken just the way I was, that are going through grief and hardship and life challenges, that are suffering in silence with no direction, no end in sight, but are ready to move forward. And with that, so that they can become resilient and empowered with an attitude of expectation and of excellence, achieving their economic independence so that they can truly be destined for their greatness and walk in their true purpose.
Awesome. Awesome, Sonya. It's amazing. It's amazing how when we hit that rock bottom, those rock bottom moments, it can launch a pad for something so amazing like you did. Uh, for for me, my breakthrough was when Jeremy talked to me. You know, when I heard his voice, and like you, I too reached out to a gentleman uh, that was incredible. He always captivated my heart, and it was like a godsend. So I can relate to that. So you and I have so much in common, Sonia. Uh, this is my first podcast. Our stories are very similar, but they're very different. But we both took that pain and that suffering, and we shifted into something that is helping others. So, uh, listeners, I want you to hear hear this. You're not broken beyond repair. You can shift, you can rebuild like Sonya and I did. The tools Sonya and I used, they work. The reason why they work is because they're based on real life and they're based on love. So Sonya, for someone listening right now who feels stuck like we did, what do you suggest they could do right now?
Don't dare do it alone. Willpower alone will never outdo a community. Find yourself a community, a network of support. I tried it for 342 days, and trust me, it didn't work for me. So, and it's okay to be, like I said, okay. It's okay to ask for help. It's not okay when you don't ask for help, but you find yourself a mentor. You find yourself a community. And if you have a community net right now and it doesn't sound like what I'm about to say, those supportive, non-judgmental people that don't point their fingers at you and love you unconditionally, but will hold you accountable. If you don't have a network or support system such as that, well, then it's time to reevaluate and possibly promote and demote. But find that support, because without that, you're still going to be stuck. And it takes time. There is no time frame on grief, and there's no specific how to.
That is so true. Thank you, Sonya.
Welcome.
Can you tell the listeners where you could be found, where they could reach you or find you, my love?
Absolutely. I can be found on IG, Instagram, under Always Destined for Greatness. And in that, every morning, I put out a video for my Boss Warrior Queens of love and support and affirmations. And I also have a weekly podcast that generates on all three platforms as well, which called the Sonya Dungee Podcast, Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You could find me on Facebook as well under Sonya Simone Dungee. Find me on YouTube under the Sonya Dungee Podcast, and also on TikTok, the Sonya Dungee Podcast as well.
Awesome, awesome. As for me, guys, you could find me on, I've got my website is jeremy'sunityflight.com. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, YouTube, and LinkedIn, either under Jeremy's Unity Flight or Rosie Lastra, at Rosie Lastra. Also, if you go to Jeremy's Unity Flight, my website, you can download the journals and the blogs for healing. Okay. Your story isn't over. It's just taking flight. Until next time, keep believing, keep moving, and keep flying. Thank you, guys. Have a wonderful and blessed day. All right. Bye.
Bye for now.
Thank you, Sonya. It's
You're
been a
welcome.
pleasure, Mama.
Thank you.
Bye.
Likewise.
All right. Bye-bye. Did I turn it off?